Just thought I'd do a quick walk around here on the truck before I've done anything to it. Kind of show what I'd like to do, what needs fixed, little work that needs done on it. Found out some stuff at Peterbilt about the original history of this truck and the original spec. It's originally out of California, and the original spec was a 430 green 8B92 that got replaced pretty soon into it. It originally had a 9-speed, which was something that Detroit was pushing back in the early 80s, late 70s. They were trying to bring out their automatic transmissions, and they were trying to show that you don't need that many gears. Unfortunately, with these trucks that don't do well unless they're at very high RPMs, if you would shift a 9-speed, you don't have enough RPM there. You'd lug them too hard and they would tend to spin bearings, and they wrecked a lot of engines doing that. So at some point it was replaced with the silver, either a 455 or 475, and the 6 and 4. So they didn't have so many gear problems there. I thought it was factory 6 and 4, but the build sheet says no. It's got the fiberglass hood on it, which is pretty easy to notice then, because it doesn't have a rivet line, and the radiator cowl is much deeper, and usually they'd be cut off here and these rivets would be in the aluminum hood, but on the fiberglass hood it's got the rivets inside the cowl itself. I'm gonna put aluminum rims on it as soon as I can. There's a couple lying around here. It's more an issue of figuring out if it's worth putting the old tires on the rims or just putting them on when I get new tires. It has the dual air cleaners, but on both sides they've been broken up here. This should all be enclosed, but somehow maybe they were out a bit too far and someone slammed the hood on top of them and broke them. The hood has slight damage, but it's not that bad. This fiberglass hood is actually heavier than the aluminum hood, so it's kind of a bother to get it up and down. The old air cleaner here, this one's worse than the other one. It's got a couple rust patches in it, and I need to take it apart to make sure I'm not getting any dust getting sucked in past the filter. How they worked, it's just you would slide this around and block all of this opening out, and it would draw in warm air from inside the hood. It has a sticker on it for the Alaska Highway, which is kind of cool. I'd like to keep that visible and not cover it up with a safety sticker. These tanks, they were originally under the doors, but I don't really like that look, and it really complicates the exhaust system. I'd kind of like to get the tanks moved and put regular step boxes on it like it would have had, but it's hard to find the original ones, and the new ones are about $1,000 a piece, so I'll have to make up my mind what to do about that. I also can't put the little stainless skirts around the bottom of everything with that pipe and the tank there. It's too shallow. This is the battery box. It has been on it. What I'd like to do is when I move the battery box, I will delete this little guy down in here, which is a series parallel switch, because they have a 24 volt starter on here. So this switch, I just replaced it. It switches the polarity from two batteries to make it a 24 volt start. It's got a really old air dryer on here. I'm not sure, I might replace that or update that to get it off the frame. I'd really like to clean the frame up, since it has a 256 factory wheelbase. I'd kind of like to get that looking clean and long in there. This is the 4-speed auxiliary in here. You can see those rods that run up to the floor. That's how it's shifted on the box there. These rods are a bit sloppy and you don't get a very good feel for the gears. So I'm trying to think of a way I could maybe tighten that up. Those rods are a little bit bent as well. It is an aluminum frame. It's pretty easy to pick out. An aluminum frame is a much heavier than a steel frame. Like that's about a 3/4 inch or so, and it's a little bit deeper than the standard frame would be. I like to move the air tanks too. They're massive tanks, but I would just get a set of aluminum tanks when I would put the step boxes on and mount them like they regularly would be. Those old fenders, I'll get them replaced too. They don't look so great with the plastic, and they're a little bit worn out. These tires, there's good tread on them, but they're getting pretty old and rotten. Just little things to dress it up. Probably cut that little hitch right off of there and grind it down to make that look good. Got a bad shock here, got to replace that. A bunch of other little things. It has an electronic dump on the air, but for some reason how it's hooked up is I lose all of the air whenever I shut it off. Like, it doesn't just dump the suspension, I'm losing all the air out of the truck, out of this little box down here, so I gotta figure out what to do with that. This fender's a bit worn out here too, so it's time for them to go. Clean this up a lot. The elbow's broken on the air slide fifth wheel. Try to figure out, I might have to replace that whole fitting because I don't think I could ever get the old fitting out of there with it being broken off. It's got 5.33 rear ends, so it's pretty slow, but with the 6 and 4 being a double overdrive in high gear, it's actually not that bad, especially considering you want to be at a pretty high RPM with the old Detroit. This tank is actually off a 94. It's not factory, but it was being used to haul farm fuel to the fields, and how he was pumping it was kind of interesting. This line comes off of your one air tank here, and it pressurizes the tank through that valve, and then it would just pump the fuel out. I'm not sure if that was a good way or a bad way. I've never seen it work, but it must work pretty good if they went to all the trouble of mounting this other tank on here. As far as body damage, that's the worst of it there. If I ever do any painting on here, I'll just get a new panel made. There's shops around that would bend a panel for that, and it really wouldn't be that hard to put on. It's got the old bunk here with the split doors, and it's got a bunk heater in it. I haven't tried anything or figure out how it works or not with it yet, or if it's leaking, I don't know. I would also, I'm working at now is getting this old carpet ripped out. It's just old house carpet. There's a rubber floor underneath, but I would probably rip all of that out and make it match the original carpet's the carpet that's on the door here, so I would find a match to that, or actually get the real Peterbilt part on. And the doors they all both close very easily. It's pretty nice. They've been looked after. They don't squeak, and they're very smooth. It's pretty nice. It's the other air cleaner. It's definitely in better shape. I'm not so worried about this one here at all. So that's about it. I need to polish that cowl then too. Little things like that, you know, a lot of fiddle work and figuring out little problems it has, but other than that, it's in pretty nice shape. Thanks for watching.